Good morning. I will read a very brief press statement and then I'll be very happy to take any questions that you may have. I've been in Syria since Tuesday to see for myself the impact of the intensifying conflict and to discuss ways to increase humanitarian assistance. The violence has become more intense and is too often indiscriminate. All parties must do more to protect civilians. The humanitarian situation has worsened since I was here in March. Over 1 million people have been uprooted and face destitution. Perhaps 1 million more have urgent humanitarian needs due to the widening impact of the crisis on the economy and on people's livelihoods. Back in March, we estimated that 1 million people were in need of help. Now, as many as 2.5 million are in need of assistance, and we're working to update our plans and our funding requirements. Over the last 2 days, I have visited displaced people in Damascus and in Annabak. The families I met are tired, anxious, and many have no prospect of going home anytime soon. They have faced traumatic experiences and are now living in public buildings and in schools. Their needs for healthcare, for shelter, food, water, and sanitation are growing. I'm particularly concerned that the school year is due to start in September, while schools are being used as shelters for the displaced. Solutions need to be found to allow term to start as normally as possible. The United Nations and its partners are reaching more people with emergency aid every month, but we're only meeting some of the needs. It's not enough. Insecurity and restrictions are part of the problem. But funding too is holding us back. There is more that we could be doing right now in areas that are safe enough and where we have established solid partnerships with NGOs and with the Syrian Arab Red Crescent. I continue to lobby the government to be more flexible in its approach to humanitarian operations. There's no reason why ordinary Syrians, men, women and children, should not receive as much help as is practically possible. I thank the donors who have supported our efforts so far and appeal to our international partners to contribute more generously. No, I have not been to Aleppo. I visited a number of schools here in Damascus, and also I went to see a number of displaced people at a distribution centre, and also in a school and in a community-run facility in Annabak. I discussed a number of issues with the Syrian government, including the need to increase capacity on the ground, focusing on our partnership with local partners. And what I would like to see is a range of local NGOs that are already accredited to the Ministry of Social Affairs to be available for us to use. I understand from the Minister that this will be possible. I also asked if it would be possible to have more international assistance coming in. Ministers are concerned about some specific international NGOs. We will continue to have that discussion. There are 8 international NGOs currently operating in the country, and we have the agreement of the government that they can supply humanitarian assistance. They have put together projects which they have submitted to SARC. Once those are agreed, we can start implementation, and implementation has already started in some areas. What I would like to see is the government extending that facility to other large NGOs from the international community who we know can really help to scale up the efforts significantly. I have not been able to get that agreed. Yes, it's very important to us that assistance is not politicised at all, that any assistance that we provide is provided in an independent and an impartial way. SARC continue, of course, to underline that they operate in an impartial and independent way. I met with their volunteers who also talked to me about that. We want to make sure that everyone, wherever they are in the country, whether they are in an opposition-held part of Syria or in a government-controlled part of Syria, are able to get help.
Please. Thank you.
Morning, Tim Marshall from Sky News. What were the specific objections of the government to allowing the big organisations in, and do you think those objections are valid?
The government has a concern that assistance will reach, and in their terms, armed groups and terrorists. This was raised with me in every single conversation that I had with a government minister. And there is a concern that international NGOs will be part of that process. I have assured ministers that this is not how the international NGO humanitarian community works. I will continue to emphasize that point, but at the moment the government is prepared to have the international NGOs that are already operating in country expand their operations but not have anybody move. The government talked to me about what they are putting in place, particularly to meet the needs of those who are internally displaced in the country, and stressed the impact that the conflict is having, particularly on infrastructure in the country, and the need to restore that infrastructure. And the Minister for Local Government went through with me yesterday the plans that they are going to put in place to restore that infrastructure. In terms of the government support meeting every single area of need, of course the security situation makes that impossible, because you have areas of the country which are not controlled by the government, they are controlled by the opposition, and the government cannot go into those areas, which is why it's so important that we, as independent humanitarian workers, are able to go into those areas.
How are you planning to reach the areas that are controlled by the Free Syrian Army or other groups, and or how are you able to talk to them about providing aid there?
You will know that one of the items of the Annan 6-point plan was to ensure humanitarian access. So ensuring that humanitarian access is part of the ongoing discussions in the context of that plan. In terms of us as humanitarian workers being able to get everywhere, of course insecurity remains one of the issues that we have to deal with. The situation is changing almost on a daily basis, and this is something that we have to be very conscious of. But separate to that, I have discussed with colleagues in the different UN agencies and also with our NGO partners. They are ready and able to do more. We need the agreement of the Syrian authorities in terms of those organisations being able to move out and establish decentralised offices. We have that agreement for the UN agencies. I want to secure that agreement for our NGO partners. And secondly, we need the resources to enable us to get those supplies and the people to those places.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
In, and do you think those objections are valid?
في بداية الزيارة التحقق من تجاوب الحكومة السورية مع وضع الإنساني المتردي في البلاد، كيف تقيمون